Hello, for this class I'm going to be teaching you how to make this 7-inch tall cousin It gnome. The first thing that we're going to work on are the shoes. So for this you're going to need a piece of black foam, black craft foam, the 2 millimeter thickness, and the pattern for the shoes, and you'll just be tracing that out. You want to do 2 pieces of each on each part. So the backs will be the black the black foam, and then for the soles of the shoes, you're going to trace those on cardboard. Cereal box works great for this. So you just want to trace 2 of those and then cut all of this out, of course. And then you're going to want to trace the other part, the little toe piece, on white foam, as well as the trim to go around the shoes you want on white craft foam. So now that I have all my pieces cut out, I'm going to go ahead and start building my shoes, and I'm going to start with the cardboard piece, the sole, and I'm going to apply a little bit of glue to the toe, so the front more wide side, and I'm going to use that toe piece that's on the white craft foam, and I'm going to put the rounded side to the rounded side. So not the one with the more shapy side that you can obviously see that's going upwards. And then I'm going to but I like to work on both of my shoes at the same time. It just kind of helps me make things equal and even. So I'll be adding some glue to the toe of that one as well. And then once I get these both done, I'll start gluing those sides of that round part down. Now I'm ready to take my black back piece, and with those angles pointed downwards, you can see I'm just making marks with my white chalk pencil where I want to poke holes for the shoestrings. Now I'm going to grab my large needle, or you can grab a yarn needle, works great for this, and I'm just going to slide it through my craft foam on all of the little marks that I made. Now I'm ready to start attaching my backing to the back of my shoe. So I'm applying some hot glue, and then I'm just going to try and center that right on the back of the sole, the cardboard. And I'm going to work my way around and glue those sides down, trying to keep them pretty even, and I'll clean up any little glue strings or clumps along the way. And just so you know, this is not a big deal. Once we get this all done, if there are any glue strings or clumps or anything like that, we'll take our heat gun and just reactivate those and wipe them away for a clean look. Okay, now that I have both of my shoe backs on, I'm going to apply some hot glue to the bottom, that cardboard bottom, and I'm going to stick it right on a piece of white craft foam. That's also 2 millimeters thick. You could probably use a 4 or 5 millimeter thickness if you choose. I'm just going with what I had on hand, and I like the thickness that this provides on this little tiny gnome shoe. So again, just applying hot glue all over the bottom and going to set it right onto that craft foam, pressing it down really good, making sure it's connecting everywhere. And then once that's done, I will cut it out from that foam. Now I'm ready to cut a piece for the trim. So I'm going about 1/4 of an inch wide, maybe a little bit over that, and I'm just using a straight edge to draw the line. And I'm going to just cut this right off with my X-Acto knife and then begin applying it to my shoe. I like to stretch my craft foam trim out before I apply it to my shoe. It just helps me create kind of a curved shape and work with this craft foam as a trim much better than if I was to leave it completely kind of stiff, I guess. It's not really stiff, but not stretched out. I like the way it works better when it's stretched. And I'm just gluing this trim all the way around, and I'm being mindful to try and lay it on a flat surface so that I can keep it flush with the base of the shoe. This will allow it to look more clean and finished when I'm done. Then once I get all the way back to the beginning, I kind of put it right up against the edge and then pull it back just a hair, add a little hot glue, and make sure it's really secure right up where the pieces meet. Cleaning up any excess glue and then just making sure it's sealed really well. Now I'm going to move on to the next shoe and do the exact same thing. Now I have my shoes built and I'm ready to start threading the shoestrings. So I like to tie a knot at the end of my embroidery floss and thread it from the inside to overlap it for this look. You can do it either way. I do show another method in the little witch trick-or-treater, but this method will give you that kind of skatery, I don't know what you call it, kind of look where the strings go straight across. And I'm just, again, I start on the inside at the bottom and then go across through, over that and then in, and then you'll see me go back over on this one. And then once I get it through on this side, I cut off my excess and then I will glue that little tab, that little piece of excess thread to the inside of the shoe wall. Now I'm just going to grab my heat gun real quick and just hit any spots where I can see any hot glue, and any like little clumps or anything like that, just to make sure that it looks all nice and clean. And there's the shoes. Now I'm ready to start building the gnome. And so for this, I'm going to use a 3-inch section of pipe insulation. And here I'm showing you the dimensions. I'm also going to be using a 1.9-inch styrofoam ball, and I'm going to cut that in half. But cut, I'm going to go ahead and choose which side I like better. I'm going to roll it on my table just to kind of round off the edge, and then I'm going to glue it onto the top of my pipe insulation. Next, I'm going to grab one of my 7/16 hex nuts and glue it up inside the other side of the pipe insulation. I like to do this to add a little bit of weight and stability to my gnomes. This is totally optional though, it is not a requirement or necessary. Now I'm ready to begin working on the legs. So for this, I'm going to use two 6-inch dowel rods. These are 3/16 size. And I'm going to, here I actually ended up cutting them at 3 inches, but later on I decided that was not quite enough length. So I go back and remove these out of the hair rollers and end up recutting them. I do show this later on, but you actually want 3.5 inches, and I like to pay attention to where that line is on the insulation and then just use it as a halfway point for me and cut X's on either side of that hex nut and then stick my little dowels right down in there. Now I'm going to cut down my foam hair roller. This is what I call the medium size foam hair rollers. And I'm just marking right at 2 inches for this guy because he's so little. And then I'm going to remove that wire in the inside once I kind of cut these. I'm only cutting the bendy hair roller, the foam, and then I'm going to cut this excess and then remove that wire that is connected to that. I don't need that wire, I just need the foam hair roller. Now I'm ready to put the hair rollers onto my dowels, so I'm doing that right now. And again, I'm going to end up redoing this here shortly once I realize I want longer dowels. I'm going to cut some material for his leggings, and for this I'm using a sock, but you can use any material that you like. I am cutting about 2.5 inches on the length, and then I need the material to be about 1 inch wide, so you'll see me cut off a little extra of this because I do have a little more than I need. So I'm just going to cut that off. I will say you want to make sure that when you make these little ones that you're using smaller print or like little mini print on your material. It really just kind of goes along with the mini size. If the print's too big, then you can't really make it out on the smaller material. So now I've turned my material right side in, and again, you see me doing it right here. I'm going to apply a little bit of glue right down one end and then fold it onto itself, and I'm going to use my little metal ruler to help set everything really quickly and press it together so that I don't get any hot glue on my hand and hurt myself. Once these have set, I'm going to go ahead and flip them right side out. That is one thing I will say: when you're using hot glue, you want to make sure you give everything time to set up so that you don't stretch the glue and white it out. And once I get my material turned right side out, I'm ready to attach my legs to my body. So I'm just inserting hot glue into those holes that I made earlier, and then I'm going to insert my dowels as well as add the leggings onto those. And this is where I realized that my dowels are not quite long enough, or at least that I want, so I go ahead and measure and add that length here, and you'll see me kind of go through that process. Once I have my legs screwed in securely, I go ahead and just check the balance and make sure my body is not leaning to one side or the other, and if it is, I go ahead and fix this now. Once I'm done doing that, I'll add those leggings on and glue them to the base of the body. Now I'm ready to add the hex nuts to my shoes, so I'm going to go ahead and add some hot glue into the bottoms of them, and then once I get that in there, I'm going to take my little needle nose pliers and drop them in. This just helps me work in tiny spaces and get those in that hot glue without hurting myself. Once I do that, I just make sure that he's balanced and looks good. And then again, like I said, I just add a little bit of hot glue to the base of those leggings just to make sure they stay up. Now I'm ready to work on the faux fur. So for this, I show that you need 5 by 9 inches, but you actually could get away with a little bit less than this. This will be more than enough, but it allows me for room for error. So I just went ahead and cut it 5.9 by 9 inches. Now I'm going to add some hot glue down one side, and then I'm going to take my gnome facing me and lay him right in the center on the back side. Now I like to roll my gnome towards me, and I like to keep the material kind of taut, so pulling it kind of tightly, not real hard, but I like to keep it real kind of tight and secure so there's not any gaps in the material later and it's not loose on him. And then I'll just roll that over, and you'll notice I didn't put that hot glue right on the edge. I like there to be a gap at first. I do this kind of in a step by like a process. So first I get my faux fur laid down, then I add another strip of glue to get it really close to the edge, and then one more time I go back in and really seal the seam together. And you'll see me do this because by the end of it, once I brush it out, you will not be able to tell where the beginning or the end is. Once I get the glue laid down really well, I go ahead and trim off excess, and I like to leave myself a little bit of extra just so that it will lay down flush. So you can see I'm just taking my scissors and going very tiny little snips so that I don't cut into the faux fur that's on the other side. Now I'm ready to brush him out, so I'm going to take my comb. I got like a little fine tooth comb, and you see there's a little gap still, so I'm going to go ahead and go in here and just add a little bit more glue and really seal that together. And now I'm going to give him a good brush down and brush him all the way around, starting with the back seam. I like to close that off first so you can't tell where it is anymore, and then I just go all the way around and brush him really good. And then I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to put some hot glue in the top of that faux fur and kind of crunch it together so that it lays down really well against that styrofoam ball. I'm ready to add the nose now, so I'm just making a little part down the center, trying to keep it pretty even. Where I'm going to add the nose, I made these polymer clay kind of oblong noses, and I took a toothpick and stuck it in there before I put those in the oven so that they would have a hole in them once they dried, and this allows me to really secure that nose to my gnome so they will not fall off. And you can do this with your polymer clay if you choose to, or you can use a wood ball. Wood balls work great. So does fleece noses or felt noses, or even nylon noses. Now I'm ready to add my hat and my glasses to my little cousin It, and I'm going to be using this little cowboy hat that I found for him. but it is brown, so I decided I would take a little bit of my black craft paint, and I'm just painting a layer of paint onto this hat. I'm going to paint on the top and on the bottom because you'll be able to see the underside of the brim. So I'm just going to paint that real quick, heat dry it, and then once it's set good, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my gnome. And now I'm just going to add the glasses and put him together, and he's done. I thank you so much for watching my class. I hope you really enjoyed this little cousin It. And if you did like this, be sure and check out some of my other classes on Etsy and my website at www.tenderfootvillage.net. And again, thanks for watching.